Right, I need to put this motherfucker light on. I just put this motherfucker light on. Anyway, hi, welcome to Music Reviews. I know you can't see me, but now you can. Hi. This might be a bit late because I've got a video to edit tonight, a video to edit tomorrow. I've obviously got, well, I'm not obviously because I've not told you. Obviously, I just say obviously anytime I say sense. It's kind of like a placeholder, like aim is. I've got other shit to do, and yeah, I also just feel shattered and not motivated at all. But hey, I've only got so many of these to do. Anyway, here's an album missed. Sprain, The Lamb as Effigy. I knew I'd listen to this at some point, and eventually I just thought, fuck it, it's time. And yeah, as much as what has happened since the breakup hasn't been great, it's a damn good way to bow out musically, this. This thing is the chaos you'd expect from post-rock in general production-wise, especially in Man Proposes God Disposes, which is an absolute masterpiece and one of the best post-rock tracks made in a hot minute. And we think so ill of you, back to the original point. And instrumentally, as God, or whatever you call it, also is strange because, like, what the fuck? Don't know how to really explain it. I don't know what was going on in those 20 minutes. And there were elements that were basic, there were elements that were boring, but, like, overall, like, as a whole, like, song, it was pretty fire, and pretty much that's my only issue. Some components of songs, not really whole songs, but components of songs, come off as a little bit basic. But that aside, this album is incredible. It's fucking incredible, man. And a great way to bow out. 9.4 out of 10. I'm getting that fucking drink. Anyway, on to album re-reviews. Starting off with, I know it only came out for the first review only came out last week, but whatever. Danny Brown's Quaranta. It did click from the start, trust me. The instrumentals from front to back are absolutely phenomenal, especially on Open a Quaranta, A My Concern, and Down With It. The rapping was more subdued, aside from tracks such as Stantor, which still had that part on the album, and was more introspective. And while some would argue its base level, I don't really see it as much of an issue, like how deeply he went, because like I still got the same enjoyment. I got everything I wanted out of it, so I don't really see the problem with that. I get why some people think the problem's there, but like I think he said everything he really needed to. Or at least I hope he did anyway. I enjoy all features on this thing. Mike's wordplay on Celibate was insane. Bruiser Wolf from YBP was super fun, and Casa overall did his thing on Jen's Terrific Vacation, which is wordplay for gentrification. Fun fact. Which, by the way, had insane sampling. It sampled something that a Travis Scott song did, which is hard to believe because they don't sound anything alike. So that's really impressive. As did Tantor, which was a fun detour and an otherwise somber listen with a phenomenal beat from The Alchemist. Dark Sword Angel had mixing that really fit with the instrumental and performance, and Hanami, as repetitive lyrically as it may be in the hook, is probably my favourite song of the album lyrically. Quaranta them, beat's phenomenal, the lyrics are phenomenal, that's my favourite just overall. And yeah, the lyricism was great, Danny did his thing on that song and throughout, and honestly, I don't see anything wrong with it. Fuck it, 10. Sampha with La High is next. I don't know what happened, but this album just sounds special. It's beautifully produced, and it felt like an album. Some albums just feel like a collection of songs just shoved in, you know, which are cool, but like this was like a genuine, like cohesive, really cool experience. There were recurring themes, like, it was great. Sure, the 3 interludes is too much, and none of them are really needed and anything. Satellite Business reminds me a bit of Solo Reprise, and I don't like Solo Reprise, or much from Blonde, to be honest. So, yeah. Sampha going all hardcore, rippity rap, like, no. However, Colour Cloud, Shaman's Dream is still a phenomenal opener, and others like Spirit 2.0 and Suspended are just plain phenomenal. Also, Finally Get Only. Sampha does sound angelic on 808s. I take that back, and apologise for that misinformation. But there are basic tracks still, which is such as Can't Go Back, which just feels like Violent Crimes, but like Sampha, and if it was on Blondes, that's what I originally put. An Inclination Compass Tenderness was just like a basic ballad to me, as good as the vocals were. Still, the album's a great return for Sampha. He still sounds as angelic as ever, and yeah, great. Great, 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 great. Beautiful album. R&B, album of the year, 8.6 out of 10. Oh yeah, Quaranta's album of the year. Mitski's like a 9.8, 9.9, something like that. Next up, Andre Three Stacks, New Blue Sun. The slang word pussy and Answer to You, Gods to Who still remain boring to me in the two worst tracks, but everything I didn't love, I now seem to love. I swear I really wanted to make a rap album, but this is literally where the wind blew me this time. It's a great song title and an even better song. It's absolutely beautiful. And the songs I loved originally, such as Bipolar Daughter's Daughter, Where's a Yip Yap Yap, are still beautiful. But there are songs such as Dreams Once Buried Underneath the blah 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 that I still find a bit nothing special, as is 93 Till Infinity and Beyonce to me now. That song struck me as in the best one on first listen, but has really grown off me. But yeah, super high highs are present on the thing, and it's a great listen. One of the best left turns we've seen in a while. 8.4 out of 10. Moving on to Doja Cat with Scarlet. Demons has finally grown off me and enlarged my opinions of the first half of the album and remain the same. Wet Vagina doesn't suck as much, but still does suck to me, and my favourite tracks such as Ouchies and Fuck the Girls, FTG, are still my favourites. Amongst this, in general, I do still hate the lyricism, it just sucks. However, the second half has massively grown on me. Can't Wait and Attention are still some of her best tracks, and as much as there are some corny samples in Agora Hills and some corny bars, the song's still fun as fuck. Kissing I hope they curse. Love Life is preachy, but it sounds beautiful, and songs such as Balut just hit harder now, because I think Doja Cat did a great rendition of what she was trying to do, as basic as I suppose it was. And WYN Freestyle is still fun as fuck. I think that means what you mean, but oh well. Doja went crazy, so in a nutshell, this album's fun as fuck. There's a fuck ton of flaws, but it's really fun. 7 out of 10. And finally, it's College Park by Logic, which was an attempt at some sort of origin story album, and it was just super boring. The rapping was often the corny Eminem stuff Logic has been known for, and the features aside from the iconic Seth MacFarlane verse, well, it's not really a verse, he says about two things, on self-medication, yeah, that's still cool. Everything else kind of came and went. Amongst this, the skits were cringe and absolutely horrendous, did nothing but make the album worse. Furthermore, there are also straight up awful songs such as High Life and Paradise 2, but I do admire this album in some ways. Opener, Cruising Through the Universe and Closer Lightyear shows that Logic makes music for herself, and anyone who does that I really respect, even if I don't really like it. Because to me, Logic isn't that good of a singer. It doesn't really affect the opener that much. I love the opener, but Lightyear at the end, as cute as it isn't quite for me. Amongst this, songs such as Wake Up and Shimmy are bangers, with the latter containing a great Joey Badass feature, and also got a lot out of Village Slum too. So, yeah, that's cool. But still, this thing was corny at times, boring at a lot of times, and pretty mid overall, despite the high highs. 5.1 out of 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 albums dropped this week, so this hopefully shouldn't take too long. We're 8 minutes in. Will we get a sub 20-minute episode of music reviews? Probably not. First off, it's Snow Strippers with Night Killers Volume 1. I was slightly underwhelmed by this, to be honest, but I think that was partly because my expectations were too high, because it is, after all, just an EP. Opener, Aching Like It wasn't really anything unique, but it slapped and had a really nice sort of poppy sound. Cautious, however, was just super bland, predictable and boring, and Just Your Doll had me fearing the waist as it was more of the same. But Touching Yours slapped, and all of a sudden they were right back in first gear. That track had a really fun instrumental. Just Hint had an incredible vibe and was well produced to absolute fuck. Brilliant track. Coming Down was more of the boring, predictable stuff, unfortunately, but hey, it was produced well enough. Closer, Another High was super fun and again had a brilliant instrumental. So this was a good EP in the end, and it shows their limitless potential, but it did have its boring tracks and shows that the potential is still nothing more than potential. I do have every faith that the potential will soon be realised in a full length. Because April Mixtape 3 was fire, I still think they can do better. 7.4 out of 10. Next up, Fetty Wap with King Zoo, who's been planning to drop this for God knows how long, but it's taken over 6-year sentence to finally do it, and it's pretty good. First off, Fetty in general brought energy to it when needed, and the R&B cut and in the R&B cuts actually provides some decent enough vocals, especially in the iconic Thanksgiving track, Sweet Yams, which is fun enough, even if it technically sounds like something straight out of a commercial. However, this album was basic all round and nothing special, culminating in tracks such as Celebration or more extremely Undeniable not being great. That latter's track is awful. There are also a fair few boring songs such as Outside, but there were high highs. Jet Li had a super fun beat, and the Urus collection of songs was definitely the highest high of the album, with the first part in general being amazing and that beat switch being fire, even if the second part wasn't as good as the first, or even close. Departure, when it comes to the popular and more R&B tracks, was one of the best ones, being super fun, especially instrumentally, even if part of the vocals and lyricism left a lot to be desired. I was catching a flow there, so that was not a good time for the hiccup to come. So, yeah, pretty good. It was super fun and had some high highs. Still, wasn't anything special, and it did have a fair few duds, though. Good album, though, in the end. 6.2 out of 10. Next up is Take That with This Life. I know I'm doing this in reverse order, from best to worst. Usually I do worst to best, but we'll live. Which wasn't big on the dad rock vibes for the most part, mainly because it's mum pop, but it had quality moments. The opener Keep Your Head Up in general was phenomenal and matched the magic of their hit for the most part, and the production on songs such as March of the Hopeful sounded beautiful. The vocals aren't great in general, but are never intolerable or anything. You just don't really notice them for being anything. They're just there, okay, I guess. They don't ruin anything, even if they are slightly great, and they're just a slight annoyance. Kind of like a itchy face or something. And that's the main issue. This album's just forgettable and uninteresting. It just kind of comes and goes and leaves very little impression. Aside from the notable points, such as, say, the production on maybe March of the Hopeful. The second half in general really didn't have much to remember at all. Mindful of Madness and Time again, insanely boring. Where We Are, only memorable track, but that's for the awful instrumental. So, yeah. Very little is especially bad. Aside from what I've already mentioned, that's especially bad. Or some lyrics in tracks such as Windows, but yeah. Still though, overall, it's pretty forgettable, but whilst it's on, it sounds pretty nice. 6.1 out of 10. Next up is the album version of St. Michael Volume 2 by Trippie Redd. I'll make this clear now, the deluxe bonus tracks are not included because you couldn't pay me to bother listening to them. Overall though, the album's tolerable. We finally got an album that I can tolerate. So yeah. The old tracks are consistently mid, aside from Van Cleef Island being a mega banger just in general and probably his best song of the year, and 1018 as Sarge being hard, having an outstanding beat, and Yo Pierre Slime being horrendous. Pray for Us was also notable for those goddamn 808s hurting the eardrums, and Trippie for the most part sounded laid back and kinda lifeless, which continues from the start of the album to the end. As for the new tracks, they're wildly inconsistent. Bonkai Co, as much as Trippie could have done better, had an insane beat, and I also had a lot of fun with hashtag RDBG and Wizard 101, as corny as the hook is. That aside though, it was boring and repetitive, which completely ruins Trippie Suave. Amongst this, Pepe Lit, like I've heard the beat before, and when you hear the beat before on like TikTok and stuff and you hear it on a song, it just doesn't sound as good. But like, it's not too bad, I guess. And Popular had vocal effects that sounded like fucking cancer. So, yeah, that was awful. Weakest track across the two subsections. So, yeah, it's his best this year. And finally, a tolerable album, but it's not good, and it's 0 for 4 for the year. 5.4 out of 10. 0 for 4 if you separate the St. Michael things. And at the bottom is Buster Rhymes with Blockbuster. This was laughably bad. The beats were bland and basic. Buster's never been that good of a rapper, and according to Luxury Life, he can't sing either. Also, given the age gap between him and Coi Leray, and him and BIA on Beach Ball, which was also corny as fuck, kind of perverted. Not gonna lie. Speaking of lyricism, from front to back was pretty awful. Being the bars, not even a 6-year-old would find hard, but it did have its moment, I suppose. The features were enlarged and offensive, and Quavo on the biggest banger, Remind Him, and Blackwin on the return of Mansa Musa were pretty great. So his beat also did a thing on that one. That one, probably my personal favourite track. Still though, aside from that, Coi Leray did suck, and Thugger on OK was also pretty underwhelming. Truly Humble Under God. Anyway, and everything else was pretty boring. That mixed with the awful beats, lyricism, and performances from Buster make, despite some tracks being kind of fire, a horrendous album. 2.9 out of 10. Anyway, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 albums have come out. I think I'm going to listen to 9 of them. But first off, I'm going to shout out the 2 that I won't. Big Scott with his second posthumous album and his second of the year, Frozone, which features NLE Chopper, Gucci Mane, OGZ, Fujiano, and that's it. 14 songs, 36 minutes long. You know how I think about posthumous albums. I think they're wrong. And I've already listened to one, which I can kind of deal with, but this one, no chance. And also Peter Gabriel, who's dropped his album I/O, which has 12 unique songs, but they're in a bright side and a dark side mix, and I presume for the whole experience I'm meant to listen to both, and I'm not doing that. So I just refuse to listen to the album. And it's also 2 hours, 17 minutes long, and if I can refuse wasting that amount of time on what's probably mid, I will. As for these 9, though, I will listen to them. I've already listened to one of them, actually, Conductor Machine by Commie the Machine and Conductor Williams. Their new 7-track EP, which features Love the Genius and Jay Skis. 7 songs, 15 minutes long. Is it great? Is it as good as I hoped it would be? Find out next week, or by listening for yourself. Sean Leon has dropped In Love and Memory, which features River Tiber, Daniel Caesar, Jesse Reyes, Dylan Sinclair, and Kanye West, apparently. 14, although he's not credited. 14 songs, 36 minutes long, 6. Kind of hope it's good, though, just for the outlandishness of the Ye feature. Wiz Khalifa with his 3rd album of the year, I think? Yup, with Decisions. 13 songs, 33 minutes long. Judging for the album cover, it's probably going to suck. 3. Czarface with Zartificial Intelligence, mostly known for his collab albums that I've done. This one's a solo one, because obviously he's dead, which features Nems, Frankie Pulitzer, Logic, Godfather Don, Kool Keith, twice. 14 songs, 40 minutes long, 7. Next up, Zara Larsson with an EP titled Honor the Light. 6 songs, 15 minutes long. Oh, hang on. It's a Christmas EP, I think, and it's got covers on it. Well, it's got Silent Night. And if I can avoid listening to an album when I've got as much as I have to listen to as I usually do, I will. So I will avoid listening to this. But shout out to it anyway. If you want to listen, go ahead. Ty Fontaine with his 3rd album of the year. I didn't listen to his first, and I won't, because the second was awful. With 264, which features Summers, Junie, TTM Dog, Lil Dre, Hard Rock, and Summers again. 10 songs, 23 minutes long, 4. AZ, who's most notable for featuring on Nas's stuff every now and then, has dropped a solo album, Truth Be Told, which features Moo Fresh and Pharoah Monche. 11 songs, 29 minutes long, 5. Mika has dropped Que te te fleuris toujours, which is in French, I think. 12 songs, 37 minutes long, 4. And finally, Jimmy, one of the hottest artists in the underground and one of the weirdest as a person as well, has dropped his 2nd album of the year. I didn't listen to his first, and I probably won't, with Shazam. But I will listen to this one. 16 songs, 1 hour, 8 minutes, 7. So yeah, I won't do this in sub 20 minutes because I've still got a whole ass best and worst albums of the month thing to do. But I'm happy with how close I got. Let's do this thing. I just need to check what they are. Right, starting off with the worst albums, actually doing them in the normal order I usually do things. At number 3, it is Chris Brown with 1111, which is a 1.7. Hey, that rhymes. Number 2 is Kodak Black with When I Was Dead, I think it's called. I wish I could forget this album. I've already forgotten the album title. 1.1 out of 10, it was awful. And at number 1, this is an album I won't forget because of how bad it was. Madness with The Theatre of the Absurd presents C'est La Vie, 0.2 out of 10. What the fuck? As for a more brighter and happier thing to talk about, let's talk about the best albums. Number 3, we've got Pink Pantheress with Another Life, I think it's called. 8.7 out of 10. And number 2, I don't know how much longer this will be at number 2 at, because I am planning to re-listen and it will probably grow off me. But for now, it's Aesop Rock's Integrated Tech Solutions, which is an 8.9. If that obviously drops off, Andre 3000 will enter the top 3. But at number 1, and this is undisputed, album of the fucking year, Danny Brown just took it. 10 out of 10. I don't see how that gets beaten. Because what's dropping this month? Nicki Minaj? Yeah, he's done it. And I've also got, although to be fair, I do have a massive list of albums I need to re-listen and actually listen. So they may also rob it, but I doubt that'll happen. Might rob places in like the top 10 though and stuff. So yeah. Thank you very, very much for watching, and yeah, we're almost at the end of the year now. Although what I think I'll do, when there's no music dropping, I'll just listen to the ones I need to re-listen and stuff, and then once I've got all that done and I feel ready, I will do the top 10s, which will probably be like early next year. So that's the plan as we get to the end of the year, but I think I can tell you what my album of the year is with a fair bit of confidence. Guarante. Alright, see ya. Guys, did I just call Heaven Knows by Pink Panther us another life? Ah!